All right, welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into something, well, we all use every single day,
Yeah.
but probably don't think too much about
Right.
the structure of the web itself.
Yeah.
Like, we all talk about the web like it's one thing. What if that's not true?
Yeah.
We've got sources here talking about everything from China's Great Firewall to filter bubbles.
Wow.
Even, the mysterious dark web.
Yeah.
So, ready to see what's really going on kind of beneath the surface.
I think it's easy to assume we're all on the same web,
Right.
but that's not really the case.
Okay.
It's much more fragmented and complex than
I
I think most people realize.
Gotcha.
And that has big implications for
Yeah.
how we access information
For sure.
and even how we view the world.
So no more one worldwide web kumbaya then.
I don't know about that.
What are some of the things that really break this single web idea apart?
Well, for starters,
Yeah.
there are literal geopolitical divisions.
Okay.
You take China's Great Firewall. It's basically creating a separate internet experience for an entire nation.
Yeah.
What they can access and see online is very different
Okay.
from what you might be used to.
Yeah, it really is like a parallel internet universe almost.
It is in some ways.
The sources also mention Russia's RuNet and its capability to cut itself off from the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
That's a little unsettling.
Yeah, it definitely highlights how
Yeah.
internet access and control can be used for these
Okay.
geopolitical maneuverings.
Gotcha.
But even on a less dramatic level,
Right.
there's, the digital divide.
Sure.
Not everyone has the same level of access or even the same kind of experience online.
Okay.
Someone in a rural area with limited bandwidth might be interacting with a very different web
Right.
than someone in a city with, high-speed fiber.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
The web someone experiences is totally tied to what they can actually get access to.
exactly.
And our Slav has pointed out how being online
Can mean very different things for different people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of unsettling in itself.
When that brings us to another piece of this fragmented web puzzle,
Okay.
platform silos.
Okay.
We're all interacting with these huge platforms like Facebook, Apple's App Store,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of control
Sure.
over what we see and do within those spaces.
Yeah, you can feel trapped in those walled gardens sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
Like you can only see and interact with what the platform allows.
That's right.
It's almost like
Mm-hmm.
being in a digital mall
Yeah,
where they control which stores can even exist.
that's a really good analogy.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
these platforms often prioritize their own content and services, so
Yeah.
you might not even be exposed
Okay.
to the wider range of information that's out there on the
Yeah.
broader web.
So we've got countries carving things up. We've got access issues. We've got these platform silos.
Yeah,
It seems like even the basic idea
right.
of what's on the web can
Exactly.
vary a lot from person to person.
100%.
And it gets even more complicated, I imagine,
Yeah,
when you start thinking about the layers of the internet.
exactly. Most of us are familiar with the surface web,
Mhm.
which is what we see through search engines.
Right, right.
But there's more beyond that.
Like the deep web and the dark web.
Yeah.
Those always sound kind of mysterious and maybe a little scary.
They definitely have a certain mystique to them,
For sure.
but the deep web isn't inherently nefarious.
Okay.
It just refers to content that isn't indexed by search engines,
So what kind of stuff are we talking about here?
like private databases,
Right.
company intranets, academic journals,
Sorry.
things that are intentionally kept out of the public eye, but still very much part of the online world.
So things that exist online, but you can't just stumble across through a Google search.
Right.
That changes how you think about how much is actually out there.
But what about the dark web?
The dark web.
That one seems a bit more shadowy.
Yeah, it requires specific software like the Tor browser to access
Oh, okay.
and is often associated with illegal activity.
Right.
But it's also used by activists, journalists, and whistleblowers,
Interesting.
especially in countries with strict internet censorship.
Oh, so even the dark web isn't entirely black and white, so to speak.
It's a very complex space
Gotcha.
with both positive and negative aspects.
Okay.
But its very existence reinforces the fact that what we perceive as the web is only a fraction of what's actually out there.
So it's like we're seeing the tip of the iceberg when we browse online,
A good analogy.
and it sounds like who you are, where you are, and even the tools you use
Yeah,
can drastically change what you experience.
exactly.
And we haven't even touched on how these experiences are personalized by algorithms
Right.
and the influence of big tech
Well,
companies.
there's a whole other layer.
All right. I'm really curious to unpack how those algorithms shape our view of the web.
Yeah, definitely.
But let's save that for part 2.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to our deep dive
Yeah.
into the fragmented web.
It's a good one.
So in part 1, we explored how
Yeah.
geopolitical divisions, access issues, platform silos,
Yeah.
even the hidden layers of the web
Right.
all kind of shatter this illusion of a single unified online experience.
That's not what people think.
And now we're going to kind of dive into another key aspect
Okay.
that shapes our online experience, the power of personalization and algorithms.
Oh, yeah. This is the stuff that's always
Mhm.
both fascinating and a little bit creepy. Right?
Yeah, a little bit.
The way the internet seems to know
Mhm.
what you want before you even ask for it.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's like having a digital mind reader
Mhm.
tailoring our online world.
That's right.
Exactly.
So these algorithms are constantly learning from our behavior,
They are.
tracking what we search for,
That's right.
what we click on,
Yeah.
what we like and share.
What we buy.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
And using this information to basically personalize our online experience.
That's right.
So like when I start typing in a search,
Uh-huh.
the suggestions that pop up
Yeah.
aren't the same for everyone.
Yeah.
It's showing me things it thinks I'm interested in
Right.
based on my past searches.
100%. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that's already
It's creepy,
a little freaky.
but it's how it works.
Okay, and it goes beyond just search results, right?
Absolutely.
Like our social media feeds
Mhm.
are basically personalized highlight reels curated by algorithms. It's
Yep.
not just like a chronological feed anymore.
No, not at all.
Okay, so like,
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they all use algorithms
okay,
to decide what posts you see
right.
and in what order.
And so what are those algorithms looking for?
Well, they're designed to keep us engaged,
Right.
to keep us scrolling.
Okay, so it's all about engagement.
Engagement, yeah.
So the more I'm on there,
Mm-hmm.
the more data they're collecting.
Yep, exactly.
And that often means showing us content that reinforces our existing views and preferences,
That's right, and that's
which is how we get those filter bubbles
Yeah, that's-
everyone's talking about.
we end up in these echo chambers.
Right, where we only hear from people who agree with us
Right.
and see information that confirms our biases.
Yep.
It's like living in a self-made digital echo chamber.
That's a really good way to put it.
Thanks.
And these filter bubbles, they make it harder
Yeah.
to have these
Yeah.
constructive conversations across ideological divides.
Right.
If everyone's living in their own curated reality,
Mm-hmm.
how do we find common ground?
That's a good point. It seems like understanding these algorithms and how they work is so critical if we want to navigate the online world effectively.
Yeah.
But it's not just the algorithms themselves, it's the companies behind them.
That's right.
Right. The big tech giants who are calling the shots.
You're absolutely right.
Okay, so like what are we talking about here?
Companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple,
Mm-hmm.
they have enormous influence over the internet as we know it.
In what ways?
Well, they control the platforms,
Okay.
the data,
Right.
even the devices we use to access the web.
So it's not just what I see when I'm on there.
Right.
It's how I get there in the first place.
100%.
So we've got algorithms tailoring our experiences, and then these tech giants shaping the very structure of the digital landscape.
That's right.
It feels like
Yeah.
there are layers upon layers of control
There are.
influencing how we interact with the web.
And with that level of control comes a lot of responsibility.
Cool.
We've seen cases
Yeah.
where these companies have been accused of prioritizing profits
Right?
over user well-being
Okay.
or of using their power to manipulate public opinion.
Yeah, it raises a lot of questions
It does.
about who has the right to control access to information and how much power these companies should wield.
Absolutely.
It's a lot to think about, for sure.
It is.
But this is why it's so important to have these conversations.
Yeah.
The more we understand
100%.
about how the internet really works, the better equipped we are to navigate its complexities
Right.
and demand more accountability from those who shape it.
Exactly.
So where do we even begin? Like,
Yeah.
it feels overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
How do we become more critical thinkers and savvy digital navigators in this
It is overwhelming.
ever-shifting online world?
Well, I think a good starting point
Okay.
is recognizing
Yeah.
that we need to be more active participants
Okay.
in our online experience. We can't just
Okay.
passively consume whatever is served up to us.
So we can't just be swept along by the digital current.
Okay, we have to actively seek out
Okay.
diverse information,
Yeah.
challenge our own assumptions, and be aware of the forces that are shaping our perceptions.
So we need to learn to swim against it sometimes.
That's a good way to put it.
It's about...
Yeah, it's about developing a healthy sense of skepticism.
Okay.
Questioning the sources of information, looking for evidence to support claims.
Right.
It's also about being aware of our own biases and actively seeking out different perspectives.
Are there any, like, practical things people can do to break out of those filter bubbles?
Absolutely.
And see a wider range of viewpoints?
One simple thing you can do is diversify your information sources.
Okay.
Don't just rely on one news outlet or social media platform.
Got it.
Seek out information from a variety of reputable sources across the ideological spectrum.
Right, so mix it up a little bit.
Exactly.
And what about those algorithms that are constantly tailoring our online experiences? Is there anything we can do to, like, regain some control there?
There are definitely things you can do.
Oh, okay.
You can adjust your privacy settings on social media platforms and personalize your news feeds to ensure you're seeing a broader range of content.
So I can tell it what I want to see.
You can, yeah.
More than it just telling me what it thinks I want to see.
Exactly. You can also be mindful of the information you share online.
Okay.
Because that feeds those algorithms that shape your experience.
So we can actually push back a little bit against this sense of the internet controlling what we see.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. The more we understand about how these systems work, the more empowered we are.
That's right.
To navigate them consciously.
Exactly.
All right, this has been really eye-opening.
Good.
It's easy to feel like we're at the mercy of these powerful forces online.
Yeah, for sure.
But it sounds like there are things we can do to reclaim some agency.
Absolutely.
And be more critical consumers of information.
That's the key takeaway here.
Okay, yeah.
It's not about throwing our devices out the window and disconnecting.
Right, right.
It's about becoming more informed, more discerning, and more empowered participants in the digital world.
All right, so we've explored how the fragmented nature of the web, algorithms, and the influence of big tech shape our online experience.
Did a lot.
What I'm really curious about now is, where do we go from here?
That's the big question.
Like, if we could wave a magic wand and reimagine the internet, what would that look like?
That's a good question.
But I guess we'll have to save that for part 3.
Do it.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the fragmented web.
Yeah.
In parts 1 and 2, we explored how geopolitical divisions, access issues, algorithms, and the power of big tech companies have shattered this idea of like a single unified online experience.
Right, totally.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
But understanding these complexities is crucial for anyone who uses the internet, which is pretty much everyone these days.
Pretty much, yeah.
So in this last part, let's shift gears from analysis to imagination.
Okay.
If we could hit the reset button on the internet,
Yeah.
what would a better, more equitable online world look like?
That's a great question.
What are some of the guiding principles we should be aiming for?
Well, I think one of the most fundamental values has to be accessibility.
Right.
We need to bridge the digital divide and ensure that everyone has equal access to the internet, regardless of their location, socioeconomic status, or physical abilities.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, the internet has become such a vital part of modern life that it's almost like a utility at this point.
It is.
It's hard to imagine participating fully in society without it.
Yeah.
So what else should be on our list of priorities for a better internet?
Privacy is another crucial value.
Yeah.
We've seen how easily personal data can be misused and manipulated in the current online environment.
It seems like every day there's a news story.
There is.
About a data breach or some company using our information in ways we didn't consent to.
Yeah.
So building a more privacy-conscious internet
Right.
would be a huge step forward.
It would.
What else should we be thinking about?
Security goes hand in hand with privacy.
Oh, yeah, right?
As we connect more of our lives to the internet.
Yeah.
From banking to healthcare to our homes.
Yeah, for sure.
The need for robust cybersecurity becomes even more critical.
It does.
We need systems and infrastructure that are resistant to hacking. and data breaches.
Okay.
So people can feel safe and confident interacting online.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to feel vulnerable.
It is.
When you hear about all these cyber attacks happening all the time.
All the time, yeah.
So we need a web that's not only accessible,
right,
but safe and trustworthy. Okay, so another area that often gets overlooked, I think, is sustainability.
That's right.
The internet has a significant environmental impact.
It does.
In terms of energy consumption and electronic waste.
Yeah.
So as we're reimagining the web, we need to be mindful of its environmental footprint.
For sure.
And find ways to make it more sustainable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's an important point.
It is.
We tend to think of the internet as this intangible thing.
Right.
But it relies on a lot of very real physical infrastructure and resources.
100%.
So a greener internet would be a win for everyone.
It would.
All right. And finally, we should never lose sight of the human element.
Totally.
I mean, the internet has this incredible potential to connect people across geographical and cultural boundaries.
Absolutely.
To foster collaboration and to facilitate new forms of creativity and expression.
That's what drew so many of us to the internet in the first place.
It is, right? Yeah. That sense of connection and the ability to share ideas and experiences with people all over the world.
Yeah, and to learn.
Yeah.
To learn new things.
So as we're reimagining the internet, we need to prioritize features and platforms that foster genuine human connection.
For sure.
Encourage empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
And promote constructive dialogue.
100%.
All right, so we've got a pretty good list of values to guide us here.
We do.
Accessibility, privacy, security, sustainability, and human connection.
Those are good ones.
But how do we actually move from these ideals to reality?
That's the question.
It seems like a pretty daunting task.
It's definitely a multifaceted challenge.
Okay.
It'll require collaboration between governments, tech companies, and individuals.
So governments have a role to play here.
They do.
In enacting policies that promote digital inclusion, protect privacy, and ensure a level playing field for all players in the digital space.
That's right.
And tech companies need to step up.
They do.
And take responsibility.
100%.
For the impact their platforms have on society.
I think a lot of people are feeling disillusioned.
They are.
With the way big tech has been operating. And they're demanding more accountability.
And individuals aren't powerless in this equation either.
They're not.
We can support organizations. Advocating for a better internet.
That's right.
Be more mindful of our own online behavior.
For sure.
And make informed choices.
Absolutely.
About the platforms we use and the data we share.
It's about being proactive.
Yeah. It's empowering to think
it is.
That even in this complex and often frustrating digital world, we still have the ability to influence its direction.
The internet is constantly evolving.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not a fixed entity.
It's not a lost cause?
It's not, no.
That's good to know.
And as we move forward, it's up to all of us to keep asking these tough questions, to challenge the status quo, and to work towards creating a digital world that is truly equitable, sustainable,
and beneficial to all.
That's right.
That's a great message to end on.
It is.
This deep dive has been eye-opening and thought-provoking.
Good. Good.
We've explored the fragmented reality of the web.
We did.
Debunked some myths. And started imagining a better digital future.
That's right.
But the conversation doesn't end here, right?
It doesn't.
It's up to all of us to continue exploring these ideas.
That's right.
Challenging assumptions.
For sure.
And advocating for the kind of online world we want to live in.
Exactly.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fragmented web.
It's been fun.
We hope it sparked some new insights.
I hope so.
And inspired you to think differently about your own online experience.
For sure.
Until next time, stay curious.
Stay curious.
Stay informed. And keep diving deep.
Keep diving.